Thank you very much for inviting me here to be part of this, what I believe, very important topic, especially because of the geopolitical situation in which we find ourselves. This is a question that we're all asking. However, from my perspective, the organization that I represent, which is the Commonwealth, made up of 56 countries at different levels of development in terms of the populations. We have the smallest countries to the largest population in the world. We have countries at different levels of their economies, and we house 1.5 billion young people under the age of 29. So with that mix, it's quite clear that many countries cannot go it alone. Countries cannot develop in isolation. Yeah. We very much need to be together. And that's where, for me, the Commonwealth comes in. Yes, there's so much happening outside the Commonwealth in terms of multilateralism, but even more so now, our countries are looking to belong, because when they look within the Commonwealth, they find that the Commonwealth can speak to the needs of the countries. And so, for me, this is an opportunity. Although we see a lot of fragmentation and the global world order being trampled upon, we see opportunity within the Commonwealth, opportunity in working together to build resilience, democratic resilience, opportunity to work together to build economic resilience, trade resilience, as well as climate resilience. And this, for us, is what is the driving force for the next 5 years.
So in short, you're not being derailed by the global noise.
We're not being derailed.
You're not derailed.
We are seeing an opportunity for us because of our size. We are agile, we are nimble, and of course, we have a convening power that we're using.
And that's why I said power in numbers, and
yes,
that's what you have. So Ambassador, I want you to jump in here. Whether we like it or not, there is a transformation on the way, whether we like it or not. We don't know what is going to happen to global institutions that have been a staple since the end of World War II, and what this fundamentally means for sovereign nations working together. In fact, we're seeing a lot more confrontation that is public, and I wonder how much collaboration is happening in the background.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to share this panel with the ST of the Commonwealth and with yourself. I agree. I would say that multilateralism at the global level is absolutely necessary. It's as necessary as it was 80 years ago, but it's transforming. And I think, like you said, it's becoming something new. And the World Government Summit that we're sitting in is an example of this. This is a global gathering that is different. It's a different kind of multilateralism. And for us, for the Association of Caribbean States, which represents every country that touches the Caribbean Sea, countries as big as Venezuela, Mexico, and Colombia, all Central America, and all of the islands are part of the association. For us, having these partnerships with other regions, like the MENA region, is very significant. So yes, global multilateralism is still needed, it's still relevant, but I think there's an enormous opportunity for regional organizations as this volatility, this effervescence is happening at the global level. We are united by proximity, by shared interests, and we're agile, like the ST said. We can deliver.
I like what you said, the effervescence that's happening. I mean, that's one way to describe it. What happens when everything settles? So let me ask you this, Your Excellency, because I think it's quite important. You worked with ECOWAS quite extensively. Regional blocks are super important. The African continent is focusing on increasing intra-Africa trade through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. While you're seeing this unraveling of trade deals, the African continent is coming together in a way that will create the biggest trading bloc in the world. It's unbelievable what's going on. And I wonder what strength regional blocs will have in creating that cohesion while we're seeing global powers confront each other.
Thank you very much. Regionalism is not new, as we all know. If I take the example of the African Union, the 5 regional economic communities are building blocks towards working towards the agenda of the African Union. And that's how I see our 6 regions that represent the Commonwealth as building blocks. So we work closely with these regional blocks. And I'll give you a typical example of what we are seeking to do within the next 5 years as we build trade resilience for the Commonwealth, where we're working towards, hopefully one day, a free trade area. So we're borrowing elements from the African Continental Free Trade Area. We're borrowing elements from PESA Plus in the Pacific, from the Caribbean, from ASEAN, and other blocks. And we're not intending to reinvent the wheel, because they've already made some progress where integration in trade is concerned.
Get to learn from their mistakes.
So we're working very close with these regional blocks. And so it's more complementary rather than us working against them. And obviously, there are some areas where it's much easier to work as a regional bloc, especially because of proximity and all of that. But if you take an issue like climate change, for instance, it will be very difficult for even a region to solve their problem. The example of the Pacific region, which is a bloc within the Commonwealth, it will be very difficult for them to solve their problems in terms of climate change. And so that's where we work hand in hand with them. We give them a voice. We advocate on their behalf. If we need to negotiate on their behalf, we do so. We have countries within Africa that have a lot of mineral resources. Some of them have signed agreements that are not in their best interest. So where do we come in? As a Commonwealth, the Secretariat helps them to renegotiate, helps them to look at the agreements, and if there's a need for renegotiation, we do so. Help them to even come up with agreements. So we're working hand in hand with the regional blocks.
Super interesting. And I have to say that the signing of bad deals has to end. And we've seen so much of it as it pertains not only to the African continent, to the global south as a whole, to emerging markets, and that includes the Caribbean states. And in a world, Ambassador, let me ask you this, in a world where you're seeing a scramble for resources, a scramble for global influence over certain parts of the world, who's going to win, who's going to be the big hegemony, over certain parts of, especially Latin America right now. How do sovereign states look out for themselves to ensure that they are signing up on the right things and then working with regions that want a deal that both essentially can take advantage?
Yes, no, absolutely, and I'm very convinced that regionalism is a new thing, and it is an enormous opportunity for us to come together. But I was actually reading a report that was just presented at the World Economic Forum that as global tensions rise and global cooperation is declining, regional cooperation is actually increasing. And I think that's something that the Association of Caribbean States is vested in. We are here actually in the World Government Summit. We're going to have our International Cooperation Conference, which is an annual event that the ACS organizes. But we decided to do it in the framework of this Global Government Summit so that we can have those partnerships with the MENA region in particular, but also with other regions. I think there's a lot for the Caribbean, of course, and Africa to share, a lot for the Caribbean and other islands in the Pacific to share. So it's very timely that I'm also here with the Commonwealth to talk about those possibilities. And I think as resources are falling at the global level, there are responses at the regional level that are very attractive. And the ACS is bringing concrete projects to this international cooperation conference around sargassum management, which is a huge problem for the Caribbean, mangrove restoration, sustainable tourism. So they're real solutions, and I think that you build trust when you actually deliver real solutions.
So, Ambassador, I mean, hearing the President of the United States really divert attention from issues of sustainability and also not promoting, the green energy transition and rather talking about using fossil fuels. Small island nations are at the forefront, at the coalface of that stark reality. Has that derailed you from your focus?
Quite the opposite. It makes us focus on that more because for us, for the Caribbean, it's a reality. Hurricanes, sargassum, all of these disasters are something that it's our day-to-day life. So we can't ignore it. So we are investing in sustainable solutions like mangrove restorations or regenerated sargassum, and we are more focused. And I think there's so much that we can do, and we're open to climate swaps, debt for debt swaps, all kinds of investments that can really bring solutions. And if the Caribbean Sea is restored, the whole world really wins.
Okay, so we've got about 8 minutes left. So I want to talk about how smaller economies can benefit from looking at regional trade deals so that, countries are not duped into signing agreements with larger nations that just want to extract resources and raw materials. Do you think we've transcended that conversation?
I think that's where belonging to an organization like the Commonwealth comes in, because when smaller countries approach us, we build their capacity, we help them with the agreements that they're about to sign to see whether indeed the agreements inure to the benefit of their citizens rather than for the investor. And so we are always...
bad deals coming your way?
We do see some.
Today?
Even today, we do see some bad deals, but these are deals that have been signed over a long period of time, and hopefully we're able to help these countries to realign and to amend these agreements.
So, Your Excellency, in terms of where to from here, and with the previous panel was talking about the rise of BRICS nations and it's expanding, which is really interesting. We're seeing global South trade increasing dramatically, despite what we're seeing in the world. And I wonder where what your hypothesis is over the next 5 to 10 years, the strength of the Commonwealth of Nations, the strength of African economies, the strength of emerging markets in the global South, and who's going to come out winner based on the tensions we see now?
I think that most countries within the Commonwealth, because of the support that the Commonwealth provides, will be better off through staying into multilateral organizations like the Commonwealth, rather than being out of it. We have set ourselves 3 focal areas for the next 5 years. And one key focus area is trade, where intra-Commonwealth trade. Already, because we share language, we share legal systems, etc. We are 20. If we trade within the Commonwealth, with ourselves, we are 21% of an advantage trading, and so that's one of the areas that we are pushing. We are also pushing climate resilience, where we are speaking on behalf of these countries. Sometimes they describe themselves, the small ones, a country of 10,000 will describe itself as a dot on the map. At a WTO meeting, who's going to listen to a dot on the map? Who is going to listen to a dot on the map at a COP meeting? It's a Commonwealth that comes in to help them, to speak on their behalf, to build their capacity, and also provide a platform for sharing experiences. Because, as you're aware, we have countries at different levels, and countries that have gone through development, who are developing. Some are already first world countries. So there's a lot to share, and bringing the countries together, having that convening power to find 56 countries seated at the table all with equal powers.
Under
and
one
helping
umbrella.
and under one umbrella I think it's a lot that any country, even a developed country, would benefit from.
So, Mark Carney had actually said, if we're not at the table, we're going to be on the menu. And frankly, that is something that I've heard many times whenever I do panel discussions on the African continent. I've heard it from leaders, I've heard it from, multiple people in the private sector, because they know that there's always a scramble for what emerging markets have to offer, and it's that resource base. But hearing it from an industrialized nation really jolted me. And when you look at where we are right now, as Her Excellency says, it's power in numbers. You're under one umbrella, an island of 10,000 people. How do you find your voice in this world?
It's the same, and the association has 35 countries and territories. We have big countries like Colombia, Venezuela, and Mexico, but also my friends from the British Virgin Islands are here. And it's the power in working together. There's so much opportunity when you think, what Mexico can do with the British Virgin Islands around tourism, then it only makes both countries win. So there definitely that regionalism, that unity, that common future is what will make regions thrive.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the geopolitical scenarios that are playing out right now in Latin America and the realities that you face, changes in Venezuela, threats against Cuba in terms of what happens there. There are tectonic shifts that are occurring. How are you characterizing the impact on the Caribbean?
Both of those countries are members of the ACS, and we respect their sovereignty and their bilateral relations with other countries, but they have much to offer. Both Venezuela and Cuba are strong actors. They have much humanitarian assistance with relation to Haiti, for example. We just had a conference last week on that. And they have much expertise that they can share with the other members of the ACS. So we are open to, of course, as always, for them to continue to collaborate with us. And I think for them, looking at organizations like the ACS is a way forward and is a solution.
And I wonder if in the context of what we're seeing right now and the changes in the region, whether there's a sense of concern and uncertainty that is emerging, because I've also heard there's a lot of excitement about the opportunities that could be unlocked. Net, what are the conversations?
I am an optimist, so I'm more excited about the opportunities. Yeah. And of course, there's concern. Of course, the world is concerning, but I do think that there's so much that we can do. Again, protecting our Caribbean Sea, improving connectivity, improving relations with other regions. So for me, it's more positive.
Right, 1.5 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you this. Is multilateralism dead? Is it going to survive this?
I don't think it's dead.
Is it dying?
It has some problems,
okay,
but I'm an optimist. And so from the lens of the Commonwealth, like I already said, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to start being intentional about it. What do we do? For us, in the next 5 years, we've set targets for ourselves in trade, in climate change, also in democracy, building good governance institutions. So we need each other. We can't do without. We can't live in isolation. No country can go it alone, not even the United States. And so let's look within as a Commonwealth, and let's do things that will develop our countries, the least developed countries that are part of the Commonwealth, the developing countries, and even the first world countries. This is where we all come together and do things for the benefit of each other, share experiences, learn from each other, build capacity, and we'll all grow together.
Ambassador?
100% agree. And multilateralism is only transforming itself, and the World Government Summit is an example of a new multilateralism.
And can I end with this? I mean, we keep saying it takes a village to raise a child, and I feel like what you said, we need each other. It takes a village to keep the system in place. So thank you so much. Brilliant conversation. Thank you, Ambassador and Your Excellency. Please, round of applause.